Alrighty, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, YouTube preppers, prepping outside the box. I'm Josh, and we're going to get into a fun little topic. It's going to be the 5 must-have items for, no, I'm just kidding. It's just 5 items that I really suggest you guys have at your bug-out location. They're small enough to carry on your pack and things like that if you ever have to bug out, but something to have with you, especially years down the line in an Shtf situation that I think will greatly benefit you physically and make you and keep you ready. Okay, let's just get right into it. So the first one is going to be the one that costs a little money, and I mean, you can get really expensive ones, you can get cheap ones. I believe this one's a cheap one. I literally borrowed this from my friend because I ain't got the money to buy one right now. But muscle guns, right? Whole idea of it is kneading out those muscles, right? So it's going to reduce the inflammation by pushing all that fluid and that excess stuff that's in your muscles, pushing it out of them and back into your circulatory system, just kind of flushing out all that soreness and tenderness and things like that in different areas of muscle mass and stuff like that, stuff that you've worked hard, your legs and things like that. And doing this obviously will help with soreness and recovery and things like that. So when you're going on a lot of patrols, you're doing a lot of supply runs, whatever you're doing, when you're going to be obviously increasing your physical activity because you're taking care of things on a different level than you are now, especially years down the line when you have to, live a harder life. So, a good one to have. The second one I want to talk about is going to be foam rollers, right? There's a whole bunch of different kinds you can get, smaller, bigger, less nubby. But there's a whole bunch of different ones you can get, and the biggest thing on this is you're going to be relieving tension and soreness from your muscles, and it's also going to help you depending on how you use it to increase flexibility and range of motion and things like that. It's a simple tool, and maybe you can even get something like an isomat. So if it's part of your bag and you've got that foam rolled up tight, you could use that for a roller, right? Just as an idea, just something to keep back of your head. But keeping something like this at a bug-out location, you guys get back from a long patrol or whatever it is, and you sit there and roll yourselves out, so you make sure that you get a lot of that fluid and things like that pushed out of your system and all that tension and soreness, so you recover faster, so the next day is not as hard, right? But looking at these, and obviously with everything I'm saying, there's ways to use it. Learn how to use the gun. There's ways to use it. Learn how to use the rollers, because there's going to be ways to do it. Another good one I'm going to throw in there, it's not really part of the 5, but it kind of goes in there with it, right, is a metal bar or a solid, smooth, wooden stick, PVC pipe, whatever it is, and taking that, and you can sit there and isolate by rolling out like your quads and things like that and underneath, but you can sit there and roll out the muscles, and always, every time you're doing it, make sure you're going out, you're rolling out of your body, right, out your extremities. So, but a walking stick, if you've got one. I know I was going to want to talk about walking sticks in a later video actually, but a side benefit of that could be using that to help roll out tenderness and soreness in your muscles when you're sitting there trekking 12 miles. Anyways, I digress. That was 1, that was 2. So let's get on the third one, right? And the third one is going to be a ball, but not just any ball, a lacrosse ball, right? The reason I say lacrosse ball, and you can use tennis balls if that's all you got, I don't believe these are that expensive, and these do not give as much. Tennis balls are kind of soft. These ones are a lot denser, a lot harder, so they'll do the job a lot better. But anyways, with the benefit of this, obviously I can throw it in my pack. It doubles as something I can play with when I'm bored, right? But it'll isolate certain spots that rollers and things like that can get. Obviously, yes, a gun's going to be able to get a lot. Having someone that knows how to use this on you is better benefit than you using it on yourself. A lot better benefit. But something I can take with me and put up against a wall and isolate different parts of my shoulders and my joints and things like that underneath my feet, because I've been trekking forever, right? It's a huge benefit. Same thing with a lot of the other ones. It's going to be decreasing fatigue, like in your feet and things like that. Joints, range of motion. What was it? Muscle performance, soreness, and like I was saying before, of course, you can isolate certain parts with a ball, a lacrosse ball, that you can't do with rollers, right? So it's a huge thing. And like I said, everything should double. You can use isomats instead of rollers. You can use this as boredom for you, for the kids. So everything, multiple purposes, obviously better. The next one I want to talk about is going to be something pretty small. Obviously, it's got multiple uses too, but bands. So all kinds of little bands, right? They're small, they're easy, they're lightweight. You can throw them in your pack, and these are extremely great for recovery. So we're talking about taking out soreness and taking out all the other stuff with these other items. And you can kind of do like some stretching and things like that with bands too. But the bands are going to be great for, say you have an injury or anything like that, you've worked yourself too hard on something. It's great for isolating muscles and those small, like, what are they, support muscles and things like that. The ones that people don't really consider. But there's a lot of shoulder exercises and stuff you could do with them, and that'll keep you stronger, keep you more ready to go. But bands are a huge one. And like I said, it's more for almost rehabilitation instead of just, well, I get some recovery and things like that, but it's more for rehabilitation than just recovery. The fifth one is going to be one that you need nothing. You don't have to carry it except for right up here, right? And it's a huge one. There's so many different ways to stretch, and I know that sounds dumb, but knowing proper ways to actually stretch out muscles and your, hip abductors and all those kind of things that you're affecting so much when you're doing all this hard physical activity is going to be a great benefit to you. But stretching, just having the knowledge of what and how to stretch is huge. And it's literally the cheapest, easiest thing to carry, right? You can sit there and look it up and start incorporating them into your time today, right? It's not a hard thing. But that is the 5 things I wanted to talk about is we're always trying to make sure that we're physically ready. I like physical preparedness. It's a big part of mine besides like the tactics and stuff. So keep these 5 items in mind, right? Obviously the 5th one, it should be in your mind already. But keep these 5 items in mind. It's the 5, in my opinion, must-haves that you can for any kind of long-term. Well, actually, even for now, I use them all the time, but long-term SHTF down the road, having your bug location, it's going to greatly give you guys the advantage physically over people that are just going out and doing what they're doing and getting stiff and sore and then getting like joint injuries and all that kind of stuff, right? So consider it, don't consider it. It's up to you. It's your guys' readiness, not mine. And until tomorrow, it's Prepping Outside the Box. Josh, I'll see you then.